Americans love fast food so much that we will literally punch each other in the face for a chicken sandwich. Yes, if you were circling social media or even watching the local news in the summer of 2019, you remember the pandemonium caused by the release of Popeye's chicken sandwich. While throwing haymakers to steal someone's sandwich represents the more extreme end of the spectrum, when it comes to Americans getting their fast food fix, it isn't absurd to see people wait in line for hours when a Whataburger or In-N-Out opens in a new city, or if the item they're craving is in short supply. How did Americans come to love fast food so much? On this episode of Every Last Crumb, we dive into the history of fast food in America, exploring the most popular of each decade in the 20th century. Well, the first fast food chains wouldn't come about until a couple decades later. The precursors to fast food establishments would have to be street vendors who sold ready-made food to passing customers in the city. At the turn of the century, street vendors swarmed cities like New York, selling milk, corn, oysters, gingerbread, muffins, pears and syrup, and of course, hot dogs. These roaming dog wagons were wildly popular, having come about when German immigrants arrived in the city during the mid-19th century. Hot dog stands on Coney Island were selling thousands of dogs a year, with the Nathan's brand eventually overtaking this mecca of dogs. By the 1900s, hot dog carts had spread to other cities like St. Louis and had become the most popular savory fare at baseball games, where announcers would scream, "Hot dog! What a home run that was!" Or so we think. Food fight. This decade in American history saw the birth of the two earliest fast food establishments as we know them today, each starting from humble beginnings and each expanding outwards from the point forward to revolutionize how Americans eat. Here we find controversy as to who should be endowed as the first fast food chain. So here are the facts so you can decide who was first. In 1916, Walt Anderson, a co-founder of the White Castle brand that would launch in 1921, had gotten his start in the food industry by converting a streetcar into his first diner. And after getting impatient with his meatballs taking too long to cook, he smashed the patty and served it on a dinner roll with onions and cheese. After running a couple other successful operations, he teamed up with Billy Ingram to start a series of brick-and-mortar businesses, and the first White Castle opened in 1921. In the case of A&W in 1919, Roy W. Allen set up a root beer stand to serve their signature drink at a parade for World War I veterans. Afterwards, Allen partnered with his employee, Frank Wright, to start the A&W brand. Thus, A&W edges White Castle by having opened as a food stand a couple years prior, but if you don't sell food yet, can you be called the first fast food restaurant? These are the questions that keep me up at night, tossing, turning, sweating, crying out, why? Why can the answers not be clear? White Castle changed the way Americans eat forever when they brought the principles of the assembly line into the kitchen. That hamburgers would become the most popular food in America was not a certainty back in 1921. In fact, it was extremely unlikely. Americans mistrusted beef after Upton Sinclair had published The Jungle, an expose of the horrors of the meatpacking industry. Walt Anderson and Billy Ingram set out to change the public perception of beef. By making their restaurants all white with stainless steel accents, the building exuded cleanliness, and creating a kitchen that let their customers watch the food preparation process encouraged a more trusting environment. White Castle is known by many to be the first fast food establishment because it was the first business to chain locations together. At White Castle, the vision was for the food to taste the exact same every single time, no matter which store you were in. This idea of consistency is a fast food commandment among businesses today. A&W started serving food and opened multiple locations as well, and this decade also brought us the invention of the milkshake. Boy, does one of those sound good right now. Ivar Pop Colson, a Walgreens employee, made this magnificent marvel when he added ice cream to a malted chocolate milk drink. And in the midst of fast food taking off, the Great Depression settled across America. As far as restaurants go, fast food establishments were the perfect business for the Great Depression. Because the food was cheap, people, especially laborers, could afford to eat before work, with White Castle running promotions like 5 sliders for 10 cents in 1930. In this same year, a Kentucky Fried legend was born. Colonel Sanders' rise to fame is a story like so many other fast food restaurant successes, emblematic of the American dream. Having encountered wicked hardship throughout his childhood, Colonel Sanders went on to be a journeyman before landing a job as a gas station manager in Corbin, Kentucky. Here, the eggshell of Colonel Sanders' life cracked, and with the chicken that emerged, he coated it in herbs and spices and fried it. People traveled from far and wide to taste Colonel Sanders' chicken, and he eventually converted the station into a full-service restaurant. Later in the decade, after he had expanded his operation, Sanders perfected his secret blend of 11 herbs and spices, which to this day is said to be what is guarded so heavily in Fort Knox, Kentucky. We know your secrets, government. He also started using a pressure cooker to cut down on the cooking time of his chicken, going from a half hour down to 8 or 9 minutes. In 1936, Bob's Pantry, which would later turn into Bob's Big Boy, was created in California. Here, Bob Wien created the original double-decker hamburger, a creation that consists of cutting a hamburger bun into 3 parts, so that a middle bun separates 2 patties with lettuce, cheese, and Bob's special red relish also included. The 1940s was a great decade for fast food, and when we say great, we mean freaking amazing. Dairy Queen opened its doors in 1940, serving up ice cream to Joliet, Illinois. Dairy Queen would come to be known for its dilly bars and blizzards. In the same year, Richard and Morris McDonald opened their first restaurant in San Bernardino, California. Originally serving slow-cooked barbecue sandwiches, the McDonald brothers soon focused on selling hamburgers. By opening a restaurant that streamlined the hamburger-making process, they also started selling French fries, milkshakes, soft drinks, and coffee. And by the early 1950s, there were multiple McDonald's locations across California. As to how McDonald's became the empire it is today, we'll cover that in a bit. In the same state, in 1948, In-N-Out emerged. People in this part of the country love In-N-Out. They will go to war for In-N-Out if, in some apocalyptic fast food future, such a war does break out. I'm certain some Californians would willingly die to protect their animal-style fries. Notably, In-N-Out was invented as a drive-thru, the first of its kind in California, and the chain is known for its to-die-for double-double and killer Neapolitan shakes. Dunkin' Donuts also opened in 1948 under the name Open Kettle, but was renamed a couple years later. Dunkin' is the oldest fast food donut shop in the U.S. and later created Munchkins, little sugary balls of goodness made from the dough cut out of big donuts. Whew, the 1950s was a big decade for fast food. A couple things happened. First of all, after World War II, the suburbs exploded. New neighborhoods were popping up everywhere, and this demographic shift changed how people traveled, worked, and lived. More people purchased cars to commute to work and to accommodate this method of travel. New roads, highways, and interstates were built, which is why you see such a concentration of fast food restaurants near interstate exits. This on-the-go lifestyle was perfect for the drive-thru. People would pull up in their cars after work, order dinner for the whole family, and bring it back before it got cold so they could watch Gunsmoke or The Adventures of Superman on their new television. Seeing opportunities for profit, fast food businesses started opening franchises. Franchises allowed local business owners the opportunity to buy into successful brands, and the owners of the brand got an opportunity to expand their businesses to heights never before thought possible. That everyday Americans didn't have to cook and clean, that local business owners got to make money, and that corporations could take their companies to the moon. We're pretty sure Neil Armstrong snuck a McDonald's cheeseburger into the spacesuit before he was up there, but that is what we here like to call a win-win-win. Enter Ray Kroc. While the McDonald's were running their hamburger businesses in California, Kroc went to sell them a machine that mixed multiple milkshakes at once. Seeing the efficiency of the McDonald's streamlined operation, he purchased a franchise and brought the brand to Des Plaines, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. The business was wildly successful. Kroc, through some questionable business tactics, brought out the McDonald's brothers and the empire was born. He sells a bunch of franchises, and by 2022, McDonald's has has over 38,000 locations in over 100 countries and is probably the most recognizable brand in world history. The franchising trend became prevalent throughout the fast food industry. Colonel Sanders rebrands his chicken as Kentucky Fried Chicken and franchises it to people across the country. He is eventually brought out, and the number of stores increases exponentially. Whataburger opens in Corpus Christi, Texas in the summer of 1950. In the aforementioned fast food war, the only soldiers who may be more ready to defend their double Whataburgers and honey chicken biscuits would be those who swear loyalty to this brand. Jack in the Box started in 1951 in San Diego. Denny's and Church's Fried Chicken began serving customers in 1952. Sonic, with their seemingly endless drink combinations, and car hops who served you on roller skates, was founded in Oklahoma City in 1953, and by 1956, franchises of this restaurant were popping up in other cities, becoming popular for their chili cheese conies. That same year, Burger King opened its doors in Jacksonville, Florida, and started expanding through franchises immediately. Burger King would become McDonald's close competitor, using a flame-broiled technique that gives a distinctively different taste. Taco Bell began slinging tacos in 1954 in San Bernardino, California, a fast food capital of the U.S., and in Wichita, Kansas, the same city where the first burger chain had been invented. The first fast food pizza joint, Pizza Hut, premiered in 1958. Little Caesars started a year later in Detroit. Waffle House, a staple of the Southern breakfast scene, had been founded in 1955. Are you tired yet? I'm tired. The fast food bomb had exploded, and it seems nowhere in the continental United States was left untouched. In 1960, Hardee's opened its doors, distinguishing itself from McDonald's by sporting a hexagonal shape and a pointed roof. Unfortunately for Americans everywhere, Arby's was started in 1964. As a direct competitor to Pizza Hut, Domino's came along in 1965. Chick-fil-A, the heavyweight of the chicken sandwich division, was started in 1967, but it existed only as a food court option at malls. Talk about redeeming the sullied name of mall food. Chick-fil-A's founder, S. Truett Cathy, discovered a pressure cooker that could cook chicken in the same amount of time it took to cook a burger, thus introducing the fried chicken sandwich as the king of fast food sandwiches. Subway started selling subs in 1968, and in 1969, Wendy's was founded with their signature Frosty featuring on the first menu. Amid all the new restaurants being created, McDonald's invented their most iconic menu item, the Big Mac. Remember Middle Bun? Oh, Middle Bun, we're so happy you made it to McDonald's. By now, as you can see, Americans could order almost any food they wanted from a drive-through window or a quick service counter. But though many of the same brands we recognize today had been founded by the 1970s, there was still plenty of room for innovation and improvement in the fast food industry. Take Starbucks, for example. Though Dunkin' Donuts had been serving coffee and donuts to customers for almost 2 decades, Starbucks saw an opportunity to emphasize a higher quality coffee experience, and in 1971, founders Zev Siegel, Gordon Boker, and Jerry Bowser opened their first store in the Pike Place district of Seattle. Today, Starbucks is the most popular coffee chain in the world with over 35,000 stores worldwide. Popeyes, the creators of the sandwich that caused the chaos of 2019, started in 1972 to compete with KFC. Del Taco, a rival to Taco Bell, began in 1973. The 1980s saw the rise of Five Guys, a chain that gives a ridiculous amount of fries with your order. Seriously, it's so many fries. By the 1980s, the chains that dominated the fast food game had been well established and ingrained in American culture, leaving little room for any new competitors to enter the fray. For the most part, the name of the game from here on out was who could create the most delicious menu items and promote them the best. McDonald's loves to promote limited edition menu items, and one such enduring sandwich was the McRib they introduced in 1982. Pizza Hut changed pizza toppings forever when pizza engineer Tom Ryan introduced the Meat Lovers in 1988. Thanks to Wendy's, fast food establishments everywhere adopted a value menu, allowing broke college kids everywhere to soak up the beer in their stomach with greasy burgers and fries. In the 1990s, people started seeking healthier options from their fast food. This created a market for Chipotle, who used fresher, simpler ingredients to create more Tex-Mex menu options. Pizza Hut went in the opposite direction of health when they decided to stuff cheese into their crust. But for that, we thank them. Come on, cheese in the crust? That's awesome. The turn of the 21st century beckoned for new creations and new promotions from all the major fast food brands. After surviving the truly terrifying Y2K scare, Taco Bell rang in the new millennium by introducing the Cheesy Gordita Crunch. McDonald's debuted the McGriddle in 2003, infusing syrup into pancakes that they use as a bun to house a scrambled egg. American cheese and your choice of breakfast meat. If some of these food scientists had committed to solving world peace instead of creating delicious culinary concoctions, I'm certain this world would be without war. Taco Bell introduced their iconic Crunchwrap Supreme in 2005. The Baconator, one of the biggest burgers on any fast food menu, premiered in 2007. Subway's $5 footlong came along in 2008. In this same year, White Castle started selling sweet potato fries, which is a nice idea, but are inferior to real potato fries. Fast food went too far in the 2010s when KFC introduced the Double Down, a chicken sandwich that substituted buns for chicken patties. Luckily, Taco Bell was here to redeem the early years of this decade when the Doritos Locos Taco came on the scene. Saucy ground beef, shredded lettuce and cheese surrounded by a nacho cheese Dorito-dusted shell. 2 thumbs up, a 10 out of 10. This also started a popular trend of cross-branding with fast food items, and today McDonald's employs another layer of marketing by using celebrity-embedded advertising with rap stars such as Travis Scott and Cardi B. Taco Bell attempted to compete with McDonald's when they jumped into the breakfast sector, with Wendy's later joining the morning shift, but each found it tough sledding to dislodge the McMuffin, the McGriddle, and those crispy hash brown patties that come in the white sleeve with the red and yellow arches. Yeah, other fast food breakfasts just don't hit the same as Mickey D's. Tech began making its way into fast food by introducing mobile apps where consumers could order ahead of time. Starbucks really paved the way for mobile ordering, and they offer a rewards program through their app which ingeniously encourages its use. White Castle introduced the Impossible Slider in 2018, the first plant-based patty to be sold as fast food. Burger King enjoyed the most popularity with plant-based patties by offering their Impossible Whopper in the summer of 2019. And finally, in this very same summer, it came to punching each other in the face for chicken sandwiches at Popeyes. Sometimes the food is just that good. So what's your favorite restaurant? Or what about your favorite burger? Check out all the burgers across the U.S. right here.